3 dog rescue stories that will touch your heart. Have you ever seen a dog so broken, you wondered if love could even reach them? Every day, countless stray dogs walk the streets, overlooked and forgotten. But behind every pair of frightened eyes lies a story waiting for a chance to be rewritten. Today, we share 3 powerful transformations that prove how love and kindness can give even the most broken souls a second chance. A little white poodle finds her way home. She appeared one gray morning, barely a shadow against the cold brick wall, a tiny white poodle, filthy, trembling, and lost beneath layers of tangled fur. Her coat, once likely soft and clean, was now clumped with dirt and grime, clinging to a frame so fragile it looked like a whisper of a dog. Her eyes said everything, wide, glassy, and full of fear. They darted from stranger to stranger as she hunched low to the ground, trying to disappear. She didn't bark. She didn't beg. She had learned that no one stops, that no one sees until someone did. A woman driving by caught sight of the small figure huddled in the corner. Her heart pulled tight. She slowed down, got out, and walked carefully toward the little dog. The woman crouched, extending a gentle hand not to grab, not to scare, but to offer peace. The poodle recoiled at first, her head jerking back with uncertainty. Her body stiffened, tail tucked tightly under her, and her paws frozen in place. She didn't growl. She simply didn't trust. But the woman didn't leave. She knelt beside the trembling body and whispered softly, her hand still and open. After a moment, she gently stroked the dog's back. The dog flinched, but stayed. Her breathing quickened, eyes wide with confusion. And then, slowly, carefully, the woman slipped a leash around her neck. Not a trap, a promise. When she picked her up, something shifted. The dog didn't struggle. She simply rested in those arms, exhausted. Then came the tiniest of gestures, barely there, a small, wet nose nudging toward the woman's face. A single lick, timid and unsure, but real. Hope had returned. She was taken to the veterinary clinic, where kind hands cleaned her, examined her, treated her wounds. Her body, malnourished and weak, needed time. So did her spirit. But she was safe now. Weeks turned into months, with every passing day. Her legs grew steadier. Her coat turned from dull gray to radiant white. She began to run again, first in small circles, then bounding joyfully across the yard. She chased butterflies, barked at leaves, and curled up beside the woman who had saved her. Her eyes soft and full of trust. She was no longer the ghost pressed against the wall. She was vibrant, whole, loved. Her eyes sparkled now, the way only a heart that has been broken and healed can truly shine. And in those eyes was a quiet truth, spoken without words. You saw me, when no one else did. From being forgotten to being loved, her transformation was quiet but powerful. A silent dog, a desperate rescue. Not every rescue begins with wagging tails or hopeful eyes. Some begin in utter silence, on a quiet country road, under a pale afternoon sky. A passerby noticed what seemed to be a crumpled piece of cloth on the roadside, but as he drew closer, the shape came into focus, bones beneath bloodied fur, a body still and sunken. It was a dog, skinny, lifeless, motionless. There was a deep wound on his head, dried blood crusting along his brow and soaking into the earth beneath him. His ribs jutted out harshly under paper-thin skin. His eyes were closed, and there was no movement, not a twitch, not a whimper, not even the rise of his chest. He didn't cry for help, because he had already stopped hoping, but a stranger hadn't. Without a second thought, the man lifted the frail body into his arms and rushed toward the nearest veterinary clinic. The situation was critical head trauma, suspected brain damage, and significant blood loss. The vet looked grim, the dog's chances minimal. But the rescuer didn't ask for odds, because true kindness isn't driven by guarantees. They cleaned his wounds carefully, bandaged his head, kept him warm and quiet. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The recovery was slow, but finally success. Not only did he bond deeply with the man who had saved him, but he also made friends with other dogs in the village. His tail wagged freely, his ears perked at the sound of laughter, looking at him now strong, bright-eyed, full of joy you would never imagine that not long ago. He had been written off as lost. Sometimes he would climb gently onto his rescuer's lap, curl into his chest. The scars on his head remained, faint but visible, yet they no longer defined him. They were just soft reminders of how far he had come, and how far love can carry a broken life. And now, the question turns to you. If you had passed that same road, that same bundle of fur and silence, what would you have done? Comment below and let the world know how many hearts still choose compassion. The dog who couldn't even lift his head. He lay curled up in the corner of a crumbling wall, silent, still, barely breathing. His fur was patchy, stiff with dried mud and blood. Open wounds marked his frail body, each one telling the story of days, maybe weeks of pain and neglect. A kind stranger noticed him. Quietly, he approached, crouched down, and extended his hand. In it, a small biscuit, crumbly, warm, and just inches from the dog's nose. But there was no reaction, not a sniff, not a blink, not even the twitch of an ear, only the shallow rise and fall of a chest that had nearly surrendered. It was clear this dog was not just starving. He was exhausted, empty. At that moment, it seemed he no longer cared whether he lived or died, but the stranger didn't leave. He moved slowly, gently wrapping the broken dog in a blanket, careful not to startle him. The dog didn't resist. He didn't even lift his head. There was no wag of the tail, no flicker of trust, just quiet, heavy stillness. The man carried him home. There were no grand gestures, only quiet care. He offered warmth, shelter, and perhaps most importantly, presence. He didn't expect gratitude. He only offered compassion. The dog was rushed to the vet. His wounds were many, and each had to be cleaned, treated, and monitored. The dog remained quiet throughout week, barely conscious, but safe. The man stood by the dog's side, sometimes speaking in low, soothing tones, sometimes just standing in silence, waiting, hoping. And slowly, something changed. Weeks later, he became almost unrecognizable. His fur had returned, fluffy and clean. His eyes, once dull and distant, now gleamed with curiosity. He ran, trotted around the yard, tail high and ears perked. He greeted other animals and followed his rescuer with unwavering loyalty. He leaned into his touch. He nuzzled into his chest. He curled up beside him like he had always belonged there. This was the same dog who once couldn't even smell a biscuit. Now, he lived every single day as if it were a gift, because for him, it was. He is a reminder to all of us that no creature is too broken to be saved, that even in the deepest despair, there is a spark that can be reignited if someone just cares enough to try. So if you ever pass by a soul in need, stop, reach out. Because sometimes one small act of kindness can rewrite an entire life. And if you believe in giving second chances, if you believe that these stories deserve to be seen and heard, please like, comment, share your thoughts, and subscribe. Your voice helps give them theirs. Thank you for watching, and thank you for believing that every life is worth saving.